Hi y'all, welcome to Chao Time. This is an episode I'm really excited about. I've been wanting to review this watch pretty much since I got it. Today I'm going to be reviewing the TAG Heuer Formula 1 GMT. It has a kind of Batman coloration, as it's colloquially known. The way I review watches is on a well-defined set of criteria, otherwise known as a rubric. The rubric is available in the description below. The first part of the review is a subjective rating. I'm going to be reviewing the form and function of the components of the watch on a scale of 1 to 10. This will give a subjective score out of 60 points. Then I'll be reviewing the watch in the heritage and prestige category, also on a scale of 1 to 10. This will give a final score out of 70 points. And because money, 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 who do you trust? Me? I'm going to apply a value multiplier. The way I get that is from a non-scientifically formulated equation that models the diminishing returns of watches as you increase in price. Essentially, the more expensive the watch, the lower the value multiplier, giving cheap watches the value advantage. Finally, I give a completely subjective opinion of the watch, in which I discuss my emotional connection to it, the soul of the watch, other ways that we discuss watches as watch nerds in order to justify spending ridiculous amounts of money on a watch. Let's get to it. Let's start with the form, feel, and visual appeal of the case and bracelet. The tonneau style case looks great and feels great in the hand. All the case angles and shapes feel purposeful, as this is a Formula 1 inspired watch. The crown and bezel both have a mechanical gear kind of aesthetic, adding to the overall cohesiveness. The bezel is also two-tone, black and blue, which correlates to the color of the sky during night and day. My opinion, which does not affect the overall score, is that this color combination is the best for GMT bezels. The integration between the case and the bracelet is nice, and the bracelet is comfortable. The case side is polished, whereas the tops of the lugs and bracelet are straight brushed. The bezel has these bead blasted bits along with the polished gear teeth. The crown is also signed with the TAG Heuer shield. The case back has a shallow engraving of a checkerboard pattern along with the brand logo. The screw down case back sits flush with the rest of the case back, which really adds to the comfort of the watch. The crystal is flat, which works quite well with the rest of the watch. 8 out of 10. Functionally, the watch also scores very high. The only thing that bothers me is the stamped clasp. These friction clasps will never last a long time with daily wear. In fact, I have watches with this style clasp that have already worn smooth and don't work that well anymore. Furthermore, there are only 3 micro adjust holes, which is annoying as someone who regularly loses and gains weight. I have to add and remove links pretty much every year. The rest of the bracelet is perfectly adequate. All links are solid, and the mid links have never pinched a hair. To be fair, I don't have Sasquatch arms. The end links are recessed, which I like as they usually allow for more articulation. The case and bracelet are made of stainless steel, which almost all sports watches are these days. The flat sapphire crystal is scratch resistant. The bezel insert is made of metal and has yet to scratch, which is very surprising because I've knocked it against many a door frame and desk. All the shapes and finishing on the case and bracelet work well, especially the crown, which is very easy to grip. The watch is water resistant to 200 meters and has a screw down crown. For me, a screw down crown is mandatory for an everyday watch. Water resistance ratings without a screw down crown will always make me nervous, even when just washing my hands, doing dishes, or reaching into a bucket of water to get a cold drink. 8 out of 10. Now we move on to the function of the dial. The TAG logo is printed, but the indices are applied. The 12 and 6 o'clock positions are loom-filled numerals, while the rest are thick rectangular baton-shaped, and are polished with a strip of loom down the middle. The loom, sadly, is weak, and does not last into the night. The applied indices are tall enough to give the dial depth and add to the overall legibility. The dial itself is black and matte, which contributes to the legibility as well. The date wheel is white and surrounded by a white box. It neither adds or subtracts to the design language of the watch. I'm not sure what I would do differently, but it seems as if care and attention went into designing this new Formula One case to be race car inspired, but the dial did not get the same treatment. It complements the case, but doesn't really add anything. The GMT hand is unobtrusive, but easy to find if you need it. Overall, the dial is well thought out and uncluttered. 8.5 out of 10 for form, 5.5 out of 10 for function. Onto the movement. The TAG Caliber 7 is an ETA 2892 with a custom rotor and finishing above the regular grade, yet is not advertised to run within any particular time tolerance. That said, the movement is time tested and a known commodity. This particular movement has been serviced due to a stripped gear though. It beats at an industry standard 28,800 beats per minute and has a power reserve of 42 hours. It has two complications, a 24-hour hand and date. Along with the bezel, 24-hour hand can keep track of a second time zone, but is not independently adjustable, so this is not a true GMT complication. 7 out of 10 for form, 5.5 out of 10 for function. So far, that's a 42.5 out of 60 in the objective categories. TAG Heuer sits in a very strange place in the watch world in terms of heritage and prestige. The company was founded in 1860 by Eduard Heuer and patented its first chronograph in 1882. But it was purchased a little over 100 years later, in 1985, by the TAG Group, right after the quartz crisis. The very next year, in 1986, TAG Heuer leveraged its deep history in timing racing events to launch the first Formula One model. These original Formula One watches were bright plastic quartz watches that followed the success of Swatch. In the 90s, the brand continued down market, trying to stay alive in a time when the market for expensive mechanical watches were dwindling. However, in the early 2000s, as the luxury mechanical watch market was finding new legs and a new generation of customers, TAG Heuer had established a reputation as an empty brand that was all marketing fluff. Since then, TAG has been attempting to move up market. Their latest watches have been slowly winning some watch enthusiasts' hearts by returning to their vintage roots, as many companies have. This particular line, the 6th generation of Formula One watches, introduced the caliber 5, 6, and 7 to the Formula One line for the first time. However, changing market sentiment is a slow process, depending on a new generation of watch aficionados to change the cultural landscape. Because of this, and since the general visibility of the brand is still positive outside the hardcore watch community, I will give it a 6.5 out of 10, bringing the total score to 49. This watch seems to have been discontinued after 4 years of production, going from 2014 to 2018, although I could not verify this from a quick check on Google. You can find them used between $1,400 and $1,800, and I even found a new one for $2,200 USD. For this watch, I'll go right in the middle of the used prices, because a year ago these prices were lower, and I think these will fluctuate enough for me to not feel confident guessing on the high side. So at a price of $1,600 USD, the value multiplier ends up at 1.221, giving the watch a value score of 59.829. Not bad, TAG, but not great either. So that brings me to my personal opinion of this watch. Well, I really like this watch a lot. Probably more than makes sense when you think about it in terms of the specifications or what you supposedly get for the value of it. I've had issues with the movement. The loom is really not that great. The clasp is pretty terrible. The font on the numerals I probably wouldn't like on any other watch. And the brand was borderline despised by the watch community, especially back when I bought it. But I just like it. Part of it has to do with how comfortable it is on my approximately 6.5-inch wrist. I really love the screw down crown. I think the color combination is really handsome, but really I can't put my finger on it. Je ne sais quoi. I don't think I'll ever get rid of this watch. It just fits my personality. A misunderstood beater watch. So there you have it. I got this watch with some reservation, due to the opinions of some watch enthusiasts. But this was one of my lessons in my watch collecting journey. Just do what you want and forget about everyone else. Do you agree with the scoring? Think that the rubric could be changed in any way? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Hope you enjoy the video. See y'all!